Hey everybody, welcome back to BK's Bullets. Today we're going to be talking about Volume 1 of Azrael, Fallen Angel. Hey everybody, welcome back to BK's Bullets. As always, I'm your host, Brent, and today we're going to finish out probably the longest arc we've done other than the Marvel movies in review we did 2 years ago. This is the Nightfall Arc, and this is the very end, and I promise this is it. So I read the rest of this Azrael trade. This is Azrael, Fallen Angel, Volume 1. That's the spine here. So we went over this a little bit when I talked about the Sword of Azrael miniseries 1 through 4, which is collected in here as well. Other than that, this has Showcase 94 number 10, which is the post Knight's End catch-up issue where Jean Paul becomes homeless and gets in a fight with homeless people. And then it also collects Azrael 1 through 7, which is entitled Fallen Angel. Now, this whole book is written by Denny O'Neil. Joe Quesada is on art for obviously this cover here and the Sword of Azrael miniseries 1 through 4. And then we get Barry Kitson stepping in for the main Azrael series, doing all 7 issues of that are collected in here with Denny O'Neil writing, right? So what's kind of interesting about this is that they're really taking the crazy Jean Paul Valley that ended in Nightfall or Knight's End and kind of redeeming him. This is his kind of redemption arc. It seems like for some reason all of the hallucinations and battling hallucinations he had between Saint Dumas and his father, the old Azrael, are all gone, and now we have him on his own trying to find himself, right? So also Batman gets in the way of that because Bruce Wayne comes back here, gives him his Azrael garb and says, here you go, here's a couple $1,000,000, go find yourself and find out what happened to you and why you are the way you are. Because up until he had met Batman, Jean Paul Valley, he'd only been known he was Azrael for like a week, and then Batman stepped in and took him away from that. So Azrael goes out with this other homeless man, I think his name's Brian, who's an alcoholic, and they're off on an adventure to find the Order of Saint Dumas. So they end up in Europe somewhere, they find the Order, and the Order turns out to be some sort of like, kind of a sham, really corrupt, that kind of thing. They meet a woman in the Order, her name is Lily, Lilhy, I think, and the three of them escape the Order, and then they go and they meet up with Ra's al Ghul in the desert somewhere on the way to find out where Azraels are made. And then in the final issue, Azrael meets his maker, literally, and kind of seems like he's gonna go nuts. The legend is that there's a curse. If Azrael finds out how he was made, then he's gonna go crazy, and that seems to be where this thing leaves off. Now, I have bad news. As much as I did like this read, I mean, I'm not just talking about the Sword of Azrael series 1 through 4, which is definitely worth this pickup, I believe. This costs $20. I would pick this up for $20 for the Sword of Azrael miniseries alone. But don't sleep on those other 7 issues after that Showcase one-shot. They're pretty good. It's Denny O'Neil. You really can't go wrong with Denny O'Neil. And he's writing characters, and he's exploring new things. He's exploring religion. He's exploring Ra's al Ghul a little bit more by introducing him to other characters other than just Batman. So it's really a cool read. The downside of this book, of this collection anyway, is that something is lost in the art. And I'm not talking about Barry Kitson, because Barry Kitson does a fine job. I'm talking about the reproduction. If you look at the reproductions here, this is the last page of Sword of Azrael number 4, the cover to that Showcase issue, which is also drawn by Joe Quesada. Beautiful cover. I don't know why. It seems like after this he went over to Marvel or went to do his independent stuff, and he never came back to DC after that. I mean, he's still like chief creative officer or something like that over at Marvel, a head high position. He's never coming back, which is unfortunate because he does a great Batman, a great Azrael. But the Barry Kitson issues, the regular issues of Azrael, are all kind of like muddied, I guess you would say. Not the colors are bad or anything, but just like the quality of the scan or whatever digital file they were working with is way less than whatever they used for the Sword of Azrael. Like, this is crisp, clean, line art as well as a crisp, clean printout, from the scans or from the digital files that they had at some point in time, right? And then you get to the Barry Kitson stuff, and it's kind of like, if you've ever looked at an old Valiant comic from the 90s, that's kind of what this looks like up close. It's really kind of muddy. All the lines are a little, like, I don't know, it just looks out of focus, maybe. So it's kind of strange that this is the presentation. I don't know if this was the best they had or what, but that this actually got released this way is a shame. Now, I am complaining a little bit about an Azrael collection, which seems like the furthest thing from the world. We're never getting a number 2. I don't think this sold very well at all, which is a bummer because it's got this great big number 1 on the side. And that's how old this is. This is like 2 or 3 logos ago for DC. So it is a bit of a bummer that it's not going to be continued or anything like that. But I'm really interested in the story. I mean, Sister Lily is kind of cool. She knows all the stuff about Saint Dumas and the Order, but she knows nothing about the real world. She knows nothing about like a warm bath. She gets a first warm bath with Raza, in Ra's al Ghul's camp, not with him. She's never tasted anything other than like dried oats and water, so gruel and oatmeal basically. So when she's eating dates here in the desert, she's like very happy. The Brian guy, his drunk companion, is a little bit funny, if not a little bit sad as well. I mean, this is 2020, and this was written in, 94? I think it came out in 95. So, I mean, times have changed. You normally wouldn't put the character like this, but he's basically the comedic foil here in this book. And then you have Jean Paul, who's still a little bit of a mystery. He doesn't really have, a fully fledged, fully formed personality as of yet. I think we're still trying to find where the duality is between Jean Paul and Azrael. Supposedly, he can't become Azrael without the mask on. That was something that was established in the Sword of Azrael miniseries. But there is still some sort of latent training that kicks in when he's attacked and doesn't have the mask off, or he's out of costume, and that kicks in. But apparently, Denny O'Neil is kind of writing this so far to be that Azrael is some sort of personality that emerges and subsides when he wears the mask, even at different times. Like when he's not fighting, they'll say, hey, Jean Paul, do you want to go over here? And he goes, I'm not Jean Paul, I'm Azrael. And then other times they say, hey, Azrael, do you want to do this? And he goes, Azrael is gone. So it's a little weird because there's no, there's a lot of narration and stuff here from Denny O'Neil in his usual style, like third-party narrator, which is fine. I like it. But there's no internal monologue for Jean Paul. There's no thought balloons or anything. We're kind of past that here in the era of DC Comics. But there's no narrative captions or anything to really capture what Jean Paul is thinking or how these dual personalities in his brain are working. This is something you kind of find in the current Venom book by Donny Cates, where Venom and the symbiote and Eddie Brock will talk to each other, sometimes in word balloons, other times in narrative captions. So you have this dueling brain thing that you get as you're reading that book, that Venom book. But we don't have that in Azrael just yet, and I don't know if we will or not. So it's kind of a bummer. I'm interested to read more of this story. I do have another 7 issues, I think, on my iPad that I bought after this book came out. And I have some later issues and stuff like that. So I don't think we'll be talking about Azrael very much on this channel without a solid collected edition, unless I get a great single issue to highlight or something like that. But I think it's a cool character, and I was glad when James Tynion IV was bringing him into the Detective Comics run during Rebirth, and they gave him a modified suit that kind of looked like this that I really liked. I was glad to see the return of the Asbat suit for a brief moment, and the way that they interpreted that in terms of the system being this literal computer virus in their brains, this kind of update to this programming thing, which I thought was cool. And then to see Azrael in the current continuity go out into space in this weird golden armor that looks like a golden and red Batman was very also weird. But I was down for it because we were getting more Jean Paul, and it seems to, I don't know if we're going to get more of that character anymore. It seems like he's kind of forgotten about, because pretty soon in that Justice League Odyssey book he was, I don't know, shoved to the side, something like that. It was very weird. So here's hoping we'll see more of Jean Paul Valley in the current continuity, but for now, this is a pretty good trade. I would pick it up for the Sword of Azrael alone, which I've already reviewed on this channel. But I think the Fallen Angel issues are very good as well. I enjoyed reading them more than I thought I did. In the back, we've got some promo art, some character designs, and like a little, I guess what was the DC Who's Who at the time of Azrael. So not a whole lot in here that you aren't going to learn from the story itself, but it's all kind of written out there. If you're in the comic book store or bookstore and you're looking at this trade and want to know what the heck this character is, just flip to the back page, read this little synopsis, and go from there. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think of Jean-Paul Valley and Azrael down below in the comments, and we will see you guys next time in the funny pages. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. That helps this channel grow, and we are closing in on 200 subscribers. So thank you very much. We'll see you guys next time in the funny pages.